cared for every day. Elijah was a cherub, my friend, where are you? A place alone and quiet, are you even getting through? Elijah must have wondered very much the same. God answered with assurance as the raven surely came. Are you deep in despair? You feel like nobody cares. You can't find your way or the words to even pray. Just hold on, he's not gone. Rest by the brook, take another look. Lift your eyes to the sky. Ravens still Elijah did not know if he would starve and surely die. But God sent the ravens with food from on high. Answers they took wings, came down from heaven. Blessings from the Lord came down with the raven. Oh, miracles still happen when it seems like nothing can. Despite your situation, God still has a plan. He cannot forget you in your desert of life. Cast your eyes toward the heaven and see the ravens still fly. Do you feel you've been forgotten? Has life taken its toll? The God that sent the ravens, he's still in control. Are you deep in despair? You feel like nobody cares. You can't find your way or the words to even pray. Just hold on, he's not gone. Rest by the brook, take another look. Lift your eyes to the sky. Ravens still fly. Ravens still fly. Ravens still fly. Ravens still fly. Ravens still
This is the talk show hell hates, and the more you listen, the more you know why. This is Pastor Mike, and I'm online, and I am finally live with all of you today. Good to be here. Problems with software. I did another upgrade on Wirecast, and that means that I had to put in all the settings again by hand with these hands. Put in all brand new settings and everything like that. And some of you were telling me you were getting no sound while I was doing the pre-show things. So I had to go in to Wirecast and change audio settings for the streaming and things like that. So during the course of this broadcast, anything is possible. Anything could happen while I'm standing here today or sitting here today. So just be ready for it. We are recording. We are streaming. We're going to try to get this out. I've got stuff to talk about. News articles. I don't even have time for the news articles. Tell you what, let me punch a few buttons here, and let's just hope all the buttons don't mind being punched this way. All right. I did that. I'm pulling up my PowerPoint slides here because I've got some things that we're going to talk about today, and I'm not even sure where to begin. I've got two different ideas, two different topics, two different things been going through my head since last Thursday. Last Thursday, we were doing Pastor Mike Online. I had problems with that recording as well. We will get these all ironed out, and so just be patient with us. But while I was doing Pastor Mike Online last week, I didn't know that there was a shooter in this college. It's a community college. What do we used to call it here? We have Jefferson College, which is in Hillsboro. It's a community college. Anyway, they only offer like 2-year degrees. They do job training programs and things like that. So a shooter goes in there. I preached on this Sunday morning. If you've not listened to Sunday morning sermon, I encourage you to do it. Not because I preached it, but we are living in a time right now, people. It became very apparent to me. This shooter goes into these rooms, and he waves his gun in his hand or whatever it is, and he asks, "Is anybody here a Christian?" Now, you got to put yourself in this room. You're sitting there in class, taking notes or Facebooking or whatever, and a guy comes in, points a gun at you, and he asks, "Is anyone here a Christian?" You have to ask yourself the question, would I stand? Would I stand up? The beheadings in Egypt, there on the beach, as these members of ISIS, which apparently Barack Obama, his buddies with these people. I don't know why he doesn't just go after them like Russia's doing, for crying out loud. Isn't it something in America? I just got to throw this in. Isn't it something in America when most of us would probably rather be living in Russia right now rather than America? But anyway, these ISIS members cutting these men's heads off, they were part of the Coptic church in Egypt. And reportedly, some of them are saying, Jesus. Jesus. Jesus said, "If you confess me before men, I will confess you before my Father which is in heaven." Cassie Bernal and the Columbine shooting. And these two young punks, hyped up on rock and roll music and whatever else, probably role-playing games and everything. These guys had devils in them. They pointed their weapons at this young lady, Cassie Bernal. "Are you a Christian?" And she said, "Yes." Pow. Would you confess Jesus before men, knowing that it was going to end your life? And really, this should be simple, because we know what awaits us on the other side. We know the promises of God. We know that God keeps his word, even when we don't. So it should be easy for us, but God has also built in this little self-preservation gene, and we want to preserve our own life. We don't really want to go around being shot in the head by everybody. And so anyway, would you stand up for Jesus? So we're going to talk about a little bit about this guy that goes in and shoots these people, and President Barack Hussein Obama's response to that. Did you see him coming? He was mad, or he was acting mad. I don't know which one, but he was angry. Here we are having another killing, and we're going to have to do something about the guns in this country. Yes, Mr. Obama, we do need to do something about gun control in this country. I'm just going to take a guess here. I don't think that anybody related to any of these people that were, any of the 9 people that were killed in Oregon last Thursday. I don't think anybody be listening to me, little old me. But I'm just going to take a guess here that if I was a close family member of one of these this killer, of one of these people that were killed by this killer, if I was a close family member of someone who had been murdered in that university, in that school, I would sue that school. I would sue them. And I'll tell you why. Just about a year ago, this small community college in small town Main Street, USA, voted, the college board voted. Now, maybe I'm hearing this wrong, but a decision was made a year ago to only use one security guard at this college. The decision was also made to take his gun away. So you have, in essence, Barney Fife walking around with no gun. Those of you living in Kenya or someplace else, there's an American TV show back in the 60s called The Andy Griffith Show, and Andy Griffith was a sheriff of a small town, Mayberry, North Carolina, which really exists, by the way. Barney Fife was his comedy protege, and Barney Fife was allowed to carry a gun, but he only was given one bullet, and he had to keep it in his shirt pocket. So they voted to have one security guard, but to not arm the security guard. He walks around with a badge. I'm security. Security here. I'm security. Do what I say. I have a badge. You have to listen to me. I have a badge. So this guy, in essence, as far as preventing this rock and roll crazed idiot from killing all these people, he really is impotent as far as that is concerned. He has no power to stop a killer, a murderer. There's no power. Then, this is Oregon. Oregon is not known for conservatism. They declared this campus, this community college campus, as a gun-free zone. Now, I want you to think about that. And I just want to play, I don't know if I like playing devil's advocate. I don't like the devil. But for those of you who might be listening to this who do not favor guns, you don't think Christians ought to be carrying guns, you don't think people ought to be carrying guns around, I'm carrying one right now. And I'll tell you why. Not to preserve my life, but I have my daughters here, my grandchildren here, my wife is here, my son is here. People that I care about is here. Two women here that are pregnant. And we keep the doors locked. And I'll tell you why we keep the doors locked. We've had people just walk in here and they're roaming around the building. Don't even know who they are. So we keep the doors locked. We have a security code that we come into. But I carry a gun, and so does my son-in-law. So does Roy, who comes. He's helping with the packets right now. They're going to try to get the packets out pretty soon this week. We are armed because if someone wants to come in here, and they're going to have to break in, and if they break in, then I am reasonably to understand that if they broke in to get into this building, that their purpose is not good. And we will defend those who are here. In a gun-free zone such as this college, it looks good to other liberals. It makes liberals feel good that simply by putting up a sign that they are declaring that there will be no violence, no gun violence whatsoever on this campus because there will be no guns allowed on this campus, and they will have a zero tolerance policy. Anyone caught carrying a gun, legally or illegally, will be shown the badge of the security guard who has no weapon. And he will be asked to leave and probably not be allowed back because the security guard has a badge that says security guard on it. And when I heard that this campus was a gun-free zone, there are other places in America that are like this. Some businesses do not want you to come in their business with a gun. There are stores. Lisa and I like to go to Goodwill stores, do secondhand shopping and stuff like that on Sweetie Pie Day. There are stores that have a sign that say, no weapons allowed. This is gun-free zone. I'm not going to tell you what I do. But let me tell you about gun-free zones. Let me tell you about a sign on a building, on a storefront, in a movie theater, or on a college campus. Let me tell you what gun-free zones do. Gun-free zones only protect the killer. Gun-free zones, this campus was a gun-free zone, and the only person that declaration protected was the guy who murdered 9 people in cold blood. That's the only person it protects. If that's liberalism, I will tell you that liberalism is the stupidest ideology on the whole planet. It absolutely is totally ridiculous and irresponsible that a community college would declare itself to be a no-gun zone, zero-tolerance policy, like that is going to work. Maybe the guy that killed these people had second thoughts when he pulled up to the campus and he saw the gun-free zone sign. He's sitting in his car going, I wonder if I can get away with this. Because they're not going to allow my guns on campus. I don't know what to do. Should I just go back home? I had intentions on killing people. Now they're telling me I can't even bring my guns on the campus. Do you think he does that? Do you think any thief, any mugger, any robber, any murderer going into a building, looking at the sign that says no weapons allowed, do you think they stop at the door and say, doggone it, I was going to rob that convenience store. Now they won't let me come in because I got a gun. It says right there on the sign. And there's probably a security guard going, I got a badge. I got a badge. Busch Stadium, where the St. Louis Cardinals play. They're in the playoffs, headed to the World Series. I can feel it. Busch Stadium has been asked to review its policy in light of a shooting that took place a couple of weeks ago. 2 couples attended a St. Louis Cardinals home baseball game. St. Louis Busch Stadium is a weapons-free zone. Now, I kind of understand that, okay? There is a little bit of tolerance on my part. But They have been asked. The head of the Cardinals organization has been asked to put in place at the stadium lockers, rentable lockers, so that those who have a legal right to carry a concealed weapon or a weapon can, as they enter into the park, lock up their guns. And I'll tell you why. Right now, there is nothing at Busch Stadium whereby those who legally carry a gun, there's nothing there for you to store them in once you get to the station, which means that in the parking garages and the parking lots around Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis, you have to leave your gun in your car before you go into the stadium. That's the only place in the world to put it, since Busch Stadium will not allow you to carry a gun inside. Every worthless deadbeat in the St. Louis area knows for a fact that people who are leaving Busch Stadium have two things about them. Number one, they've got a wallet full of money, and number two, they have no weapon to defend themselves because it's in their car. And a couple of weeks ago, two couples left Busch Stadium, and they were robbed. And after the thief did his thievery, he decides to go ahead and shot one man in the spinal cord. He is paralyzed for the rest of his life. And he had a concealed carry license, I believe. He had his gun in his car. And they are asking Busch Stadium to put up lockers so that as people leave Busch Stadium, they can get their guns out and have them on them as they walk to their car, because the thieves know, right now, that people leaving Busch Stadium do not have a weapon. And, of course, the liberal, gay-loving, pro-abortion Democrat mayor of St. Louis, Francis Slay, says, I think that's a really bad idea. I think it's a bad idea. You are protecting the thieves, Mr. Slay. You're protecting the robbers. You are protecting the murderers. This college protected this man from being harmed by anybody in any way because it was a gun-free zone, because not even the security guard was allowed to carry a weapon. They passed it in the state of Missouri. Schools, public schools now have, it's left up to the school district. Public schools in the state of Missouri now have the legal right to train and arm its faculty. They must go through a training, and I'm all for that. But now there are public schools in the state of Missouri that are going to arm some of their staff members so that another Sandy Hook doesn't take place, or another school shooting like Columbine, or another college campus. And I am for legal carrying of sidearms, firearms, concealed weapons. I am 100% for that. 100%. Number one, it's in the Constitution. But the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment, does not give Americans the right to carry a weapon. It does not give them the right. When the framers wrote up the Bill of Rights, when they framed up the Second Amendment, it was understood that they already had an inalienable right given to them by their Creator to defend themselves and arm themselves. So those, when they wrote up the Second Amendment, they didn't say, the United States government hereby gives its citizens the right to keep and bear arms. It does not say that. It says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. It was already understood that God had given us the right to defend ourselves, our homes, our property. In the state of Missouri, we have a castle law. The castle law says that your home is your castle, your car is your castle. And it's understood in the law that if someone breaks into your house at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're not there to sell you a vacuum cleaner. They're there to rob, rape, or kill, and you have a right to kill them on the spot. You have a right to defend your castle. Let me tell you, let me deal with the gun part of it first, the weapons part of it first. We did a video called God, Guns, and Liberty. I did it as a Watchman broadcast in studio, and then God put it in my heart. I did a conference with Pastor Reg Kelly. He came down and preached an outstanding message. He preached what liberalism was all about and how the ills of America have been promoted by liberal policies in government and religion and everywhere else. Outstanding meeting. But I lay out the case of why, where it is in the Bible that God allows us to carry weapons. Where is that there? But I will tell you what agenda there is for not allowing weapons. College campus. This is a gun-free zone. I feel so liberal today. I have helped people. I have established peace and harmony, and nobody will break that boundary of peace and harmony and love, because we have to take a stand somewhere and say we're going to let peace and harmony and love rule until the murderer shows up. Got a King James Bible? If you don't have a King James Bible, you live in a gun-free zone or a sword-free zone, okay? That's where you live. That's your life. If you don't have a book that is sharper than any two-edged sword, if you don't have, and I like that. The book of Proverbs says that the mouth of the strange woman is as a two-edged sword. So Paul says that the word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword. Revelation 19, here's Jesus, and he has a two-edged sword coming out of his mouth. And what that means is his gun is bigger and meaner and deadlier than anybody else's gun. That's what that means. And if you are not weaponized, if you do not have a Bible that is sharper than any two-edged sword in this world, you are weaponless. You're at risk. You're in danger. 1 Samuel chapter 13. And if I was a family member, if somebody had been murdered in Oregon last week, I would sue this college, because if they restrict my family member's right to carry a legal weapon for self-defense, then it falls upon them to ensure my family member's protection and safety. And they refused to do that. These people were fish in a barrel. You know what that means? They were easy killing. Fish in a barrel. Because this college refused, number one, to allow its students and its staff to protect themselves. And number two, it refused to protect everybody by way of a security team, an armed security team. In my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, they are responsible for these people's deaths. 1 Samuel 13. First time I read this, I sat back and I went, God, that's a message right there. In 1 Samuel, Saul is king. Saul is the one who has rejected the word of the Lord. And Saul's policies don't work. At the beginning of Saul's kingdom, all the enemies just fell in front of Saul. He was the victor. As he rejects God's word and throws it out, doesn't believe it, and then lies and says, I believe in God. Sure, I believe in God. As he lies about it to Samuel, God is pulling his power away from him so that by the time you get to 1 Samuel chapter 13, now remember, 1 Samuel 17 is where Goliath shows up. So are you catching this, everybody? Just 4 chapters later here, no, 4 chapters. Okay, yeah, 13 to 17. 4 chapters later, Goliath shows up. Guess where we're headed? 1 Samuel 13, the Israelites and King Saul are already powerless. Sounds like the United States of America right now. Sounds like the ridiculous policies of Barack Hussein Obama and the liberal agenda inside of Congress, inside the courts, inside the executive branches, the governor's mansions, the mayors, the legislatures of the states. The liberal agenda does nothing but weaken a nation. That's all it does. History will show that it was Ronald Reagan's hardline stand against communism, his efforts at stopping Soviet Russia, and no matter what they attempted to do, that was the catalyst for the Soviet Union to come crumbling down. It's not even the Soviet Union anymore. It's just the Federal something of Russia, something like that. Federation of Planets or something. Anyway, Saul is so weak and so powerless, and the liberal agenda so taken a hold that they cannot even stand against their enemies. In 1 Samuel chapter 13, look at verse 19. 1 Samuel 13:19. Now there was no smith found throughout all the land of Israel. You understand that, right? There was no blacksmith. Nobody who could wield iron. No one who could use hammers and whatever the smith's tools are. I don't smith, okay? I don't weld. Whatever tools they were, there was nobody in the land of Israel who could make swords, plows, hoes, mattocks, scissors, knives, nothing. Let's come up to 21st century terminology. Let's say that this is America now. What it would say is the government, the liberal agenda, the New World Order people got it passed that all American firearms manufacturers and sellers would be banned. Nobody, no company in America could make a rifle, a shotgun, a pistol. None of them. All of the ammunition, it is illegal now to make ammunition. Let's just say that that's where America is right now. How long do you think we'll last? How long do you think, realistically, if they banned guns, which will never happen without a civil war, if they banned guns in America, how long do you think America would stand with all of the enemies that we have against us? There was no smith found throughout all the land of Israel, for the Philistines said, lest the Hebrews make them swords or spears. That was the specific reason why. The Philistines had more power than Saul did. But all the Israelites went down to the Philistines to sharpen every man his share, his coulter, his axe, and his mattock. Yet they had a file for the mattocks and for the coulters and for the forks and for the axes and to sharpen the goads. So they had to go down to the Philistines for this. So it came to pass in the day of battle that there was neither sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people that were with Saul and Jonathan, but with Saul and with Jonathan, his son, was there found. You know what that means, don't you? The liberal agenda that states, realistically, nobody should have a gun in America. No citizens of America should be allowed to have a firearm because we have policemen who do that. That's their thinking. We should let the government carry all the guns and protect us. That didn't work. That didn't work in Oregon last week. It did not work. They declared a gun-free zone. You cannot have guns here. Nobody could protect themselves. Nobody could defend themselves. There was a man. I wish I looked up his name. There was a man. You pray for this man. He is a hero. He stood while this guy was shooting people. He stood in the way, took 9 bullets. He's still alive. He gave the only thing that he could to keep more people from being killed. He gave his body as a shield. If I remember right, the woman principal of Sandy Hook Elementary, using the only thing that she had, her body, as a shield to stop this killing at this elementary school. And she lost her life doing it. If her staff had been trained and had been carrying weapons, the loss of life would have been drastically reduced. He may have got off a couple shots, but they would have taken him down. And so at this time in Israel, no one can have any weapon. That way, if a war breaks out and the Philistines want to come against them, the Israelites have no way of protecting themselves and defending themselves and fighting a war. Now, not everybody in my church carries a gun. There are a lot of women in my church that don't like guns. They won't carry one. That's the reason why a lot of us men in the church do carry a gun. We're going to protect them because they can't do it. There's some people who just could not fire a weapon. That's why the rest of us carry weapons, is to protect and defend them. Now let me apply this in the direction of the spiritual realm. Your weapon of warfare is not carnal; it is spiritual. It pulls down strongholds. Your weapon in the spiritual battle that you fight is your King James Bible. The Philistine seminaries and Bible college professors and the Philistine Sunday school literature writers and the Philistine denominational leaders and the Philistine scholars, the elite, those who write the books now for Zondervan and Nav Press and others, they all have nearly successfully, over the last 40 years, removed the King James Bible completely out of most churches in this country. That means that most churches in this country are defenseless. They live in a gun-free zone, as it were. They go to church in a weapon-free zone. And they have learned now to say to their exalted pastor and their denominational leaders and their scholars, the elite that rules over them, they have said to them, we're turning over our Bibles. We will simply let you tell us what to believe, and we'll believe it. That's the equivalent of Saul and Jonathan being the only ones allowed to have a weapon. The churches and the members of these churches, because of the teaching they've received over the past 40 years, have now put aside their weapons. They have no way to defend themselves against a spiritual or a doctrinal attack. They have no way of doing it. They have yielded themselves in submission, total submission, to their pastors and to their leaders, and they say, you tell us what to believe. You tell us how it really is in the Hebrew and Greek, preacher, because we heard that the Bibles really are corrupt, so we're gonna believe you when you tell us the Hebrew and Greek. That's what they've done. Our enemy is working to disarm our country, our churches, our families, and they're being successful at it. Who is it that's going to stand up for them people in the day of battle? Who is it that's going to defend them against the onslaught of false doctrines and seducing spirits and people getting like heroin shots in church when they get these ecstatic feelings and emotions? Who's going to defend them when the war starts? They won't be able to defend themselves. They'll be just like this college out here where it was a gun-free zone. I would say a intelligence-free zone as well. They'll be just like them when the killer, when the murderer comes in, when the slayer comes in, when the destroyer is released. Abaddon, Apollyon, when the destroyer is released, they're fish in a barrel. Many strong men are going to be taken down. They already are right now. It's happening. The war is going on, and no one carries a weapon. That's liberalism for you. That's what it does. It is contrary to the Word of God. It is contrary to the doctrines and the philosophies that are taught in this Bible. It is contrary to that. It is contrary to common sense. I understand not everybody can carry a gun. But you'd sure be glad for the guy that did. If you were standing in line at the gas station to pay for your gas and your soda and your cigarettes or your gum, or your little rolling hot dog. I love those things. And a guy comes in with a gun waving at everybody. He's going to rob the store. And because you saw him before he put his mask on, and he saw you, he's going to kill you. And that's all there is to it. People, don't give your weapons up. If the Second Amendment falls, all of the rest of them are going to go right behind it. The Second Amendment is what keeps the government out of trampling the rights of its citizens. Germany, World War II, Hitler did a gun confiscation. He just did whatever he wanted to do. No one could stop him. No one can stand against him. In our churches, let me just say this. We have churches in America who physically do not defend their church members. And we have seen enough church killings. We have at Bethel. We've seen enough church killings to say, okay, this is not going to happen this way here. He may come in and get off a shot or two, but that's about it. Do we think it's going to happen? Lord, I hope it doesn't. I would never want to take a man's life, even if he was a crazed killer. But I sure wouldn't want to lose my wife and daughters and children, grandchildren, to a man that did take their life, and me not being able to do anything about it. You got to figure out what you can live with, people. You got to figure what you can live with. 1 Corinthians 15, turn there. So far, so good. Still streaming. Haven't crashed the computer. Haven't crashed the system. Praise the Lord for that. Appreciate your prayers. I'm assuming I haven't even checked my email. Let's see here. Where is it? Yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, okay. That looks pretty good so far. Everybody's hearing me. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Take your Bible, turn to 1 Corinthians 15, if thou wilt. And let me show you what I got in mind here. A couple things about this shooter. First Corinthians 15:33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Be not deceived, because there is deception everywhere. I preached last Sunday morning about those that stand up for Jesus. This happens. The punk who went into that black church in Charleston, South Carolina, specifically targeted a black church. Specifically sits there in the prayer meeting with them. Undoubtedly, at least probably one of the 9 people, maybe all of them, as they were praying for this young man. He was in there an hour before he killed them all. He's targeting Christians. ISIS targets Christians. Devil-possessed people target Bible believers. And should we be surprised? Should we say, well, I never thought it would be that way? I mean, we're not going to go through any tribulation, so I think we should be raptured instead of having to go through this. If you don't believe in suffering as a Christian, you don't believe in persecution as a Christian, you don't really believe what a Christian really is and what we're called to be and what we're called to do. We are going to be persecuted. Let me go backwards a little bit. I forgot this story. Barack Obama, upon hearing about the shooting, the White House says Obama preparing more executive actions on gun control. The White House confirmed that President Barack Hussein was preparing a series of executive actions on gun control to match his recent passion on the issue after the latest mass shooting in Oregon. It's high priority and will continue to be until we start to see more progress on this issue in this town. In other words, until we see more people dying innocently in gun-free zones, we're going to keep working on taking away everybody's right to defend themselves. That's what this is saying. The White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest told reporters at the press briefing. Earnest said he would quibble with anyone who criticized the president for not voicing any specific gun control proposals during his press conference, asserting that the White House was working behind the scenes for more executive actions on gun. Why executive actions? Because Hussein knows that you can't go through Congress. You won't get the states to do it. So I'm going to write up an order because I'm the prez. I'm the king of America, and I'm going to do what I want. And I've got the Supreme Court. I probably have NSA data on Supreme Court members, and if it's ever challenged, I will get my way. Press secretary says, I can tell you that they're not stumped. They're continuing to review the law that's on the books and continuing to consult with legal authorities, but also others who may have ideas about what steps that can be taken to keep guns out of the hands of, they use the word criminals here, but I think the word criminal would have a broad, expanded idea under any of Obama's executive actions. I think the word criminal would then apply to anyone who disagreed with gun control. They're a criminal. I mean, if we have a gun confiscation and the people don't turn in their guns, well, that makes them a criminal, and then we have to take their gun away. And I have already said this. What does the Bible say about many are the princes of the land when people are wicked or something like that? I can't remember it. I just butchered the King's English here. But the idea is that the more wicked people become, we have to have more laws. And I think that we are just being bombarded with laws and regulations and guidelines and so on, and it literally makes almost every free American a criminal of some kind. Then they get their fingerprints and their DNA and take their guns away. He admitted, however, that he had no details for what the White House was working on, but asserted that the process was a scrub that was ongoing. Ernest welcomed Hillary Clinton's own gun control proposals announced this morning, but admitted that he hadn't seen the full details of the proposal. Now, this is what's really funny. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, every time they move 4 feet to the left or right, there's 4 guys standing around them with guns. Anytime Barack Obama goes outside of the White House, he is protected by 20, 30, 40 people with guns. His physical body being surrounded by Secret Servicemen, guys up on the roof with sniper rifles, ready to take out anybody who shows any kind of weapon whatsoever. They're protected with guns. They don't want you to be protected with guns. Neither does Hillary. He also pointedly criticized the gun show loophole for allowing criminals and people with mental problems to buy weapons, blaming organizations like the National Rifle Association for blocking action in Congress on the issue. People, this is not even up for debate. This is the Constitution. We are guaranteed that our government will make no move against our already established right to keep and bear arms for ourselves, for our posterity, for our protection, for our defense, and, if necessary, the restoration of a government that has gone bad. Ooh, I don't even like that. You watch and see what King Obama does. Evil communications corrupt good manners. I can't even remember the guy's name. Wait a minute. Hang on. I have it. Hang on. No, I don't. I don't have it. The shooter. I'll call him the shooter. The shooter that shot and killed 9 people in a gun-free zone, broke the law by carrying a gun into this gun-free zone. He should be arrested if he wasn't dead. The news media, they start going into who these people are, what their background is, looking at their Facebook page, looking at their email contacts and Twitter posts and Pinterest things and Snapchats and pictures and things like that. Well, they found this guy. This is what's interesting. All right, I got a new shot here. Where is it? Right there. There we go. I'm going to try it. Get ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Didn't work. 3, 2, 1, go. Are you kidding me? The software froze. Come on, let's try it again. Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. It worked! This is the talk show Hell Hates. He is on a site. Look down here. I just noticed that. You can't see it. Hang on. Let me make an adjustment here. Let me do this. There we go. Look at this right here. Jezebel.com. He's looking for a gal. He's looking for a Jezebel, okay? Look at what this is what he put down as his interest. He's mixed race, something the news media never said anything about. His hobbies and interests include the internet, which is a veiled reference for porn, killing zombies, movies, music, reading. He likes sci-fi, drama, horror. He does not want kids. Let's see here. He lives with his parents. His political views, he calls himself a Republican. Obviously, he believes in having guns. Food related, brains. That's what zombies eat. Religious views, not religious, but spiritual. One of the things that he said was he was against organized religion. He should have joined. I don't even have my sound effects loaded up here. If he's against organized religion, should have joined a charismatic church. That's pretty good, wasn't it? He's spiritual. His music, he listens to industrial, punk, and rock. Guess what that is, okay? He's listening to music about devils and killing and committing suicide and don't fear the reaper, more cowbell. That's what he's listening to. Doesn't have an effect on who he is, how he thinks, and what spirits are around him. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. It also says here's the groups he belongs to. Doesn't like organized religion. The left-hand path, magic and occult, meditation. That's the groups that he belongs to. Magic and occult, probably a big-time gamer. Probably. And his lust or his lure in the gaming world of magic and occult, because how many games are there out there? Shooter type games or fantasy role-playing games or third person shooter where you're looking out over everything. How many of these games deal with magic and warlocks and dragons and devils and witches and yin-yangs and everything like that? Tons of them. He's into meditation, which means he listens to familiar spirits and they tell him what to do. That's part of his makeup. That's what makes him what he is. Is the hours spent involved in the occult, in meditation. I haven't looked up what the left-hand path is. Let's see here. What else did we find out on him? His hobbies and interests: computers, killing zombies, video games, music, internet, naturism. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe he put the wrong word down. Naturism is like people that go to like nudist colonies. Comic books. That doesn't surprise me. Religious views, not religious, but spiritual, pagan, Wiccan. That's who he is. He is part of a generation of Americans. He hates organized religion. He hates Christianity because he knows nothing about it. He hates Christianity and he does not understand Christianity. He does not understand what the Bible is all about, what Christ did for him. He does not understand that. Or he doesn't want to understand it. Or he just hates it. But he hates Christianity and he hates Christians. Stand up. Anybody here a Christian? Yeah, stand up, because in a few seconds you're fixing to go stand before God. Was in essence what he said. And I tweeted the topic du jour today hoofprints of the devil or hoofprints of Lucifer or something like that. And the devil leaves his mark wherever he goes, whatever he does. Let me illustrate it like this. All right, I'm going to go back to this shot here. Let's hope it works. All right, here we go. Ready? Oh, wow, that's cool. It worked. All right. Anyway, I want you to think about this, all right? Jesus said this. He said, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the Son of Man does not have a place to lay his head. He mentioned foxes. That's a beast. They live in holes in the ground. Foxes do not climb trees and build nests up there. That's not what foxes do. When you go fox hunting, you're never looking up going, Daddy, I don't see the foxes up there. Well, they're up there, son. Okay? No. The best way in the world to deer hunt is to be up in a tree or an elevated deer stand. Why is that? Because deer and their nature, it is in their nature to not expect someone from up above or something from up above to attack them. Deer, there are no birds that swoop down and pick up deer, all right? There are no, jaguars up in trees that are waiting for a deer to come by and they pounce on them. Deer do not, in their nature, normally look up to see if anybody's around. They look out, they use their nose, they're sniffing in the air to see if there's any human or anything that shouldn't be there. That's what they're doing. They eat and they look. They bend down and eat and they look. That's what they do. And if you're elevated, you're sitting in a tree stand or in an elevated stand of some kind, you have the advantage as the hunter. That's deer. That's their nature. Before we go into the woods, it is, and deer season's coming up, and I have my time planned. And you're just going to have to do without old Pastor Mikey here for a while, because I'm going deer hunting this year. When we go deer hunting, a lot of times we'll go pick out our stand, and then we'll look for deer sign. And there's several things you look for. One of the things you look for is if it's been raining for a while, then you can look for tracks. You look for fresh tracks. The deeper the track, the bigger the deer. Along with those tracks, you look alongside of trees, especially cedars, another type of trees, because there will be rubs on there. These bucks got these new horns this year, and they're proud of them. And as those horns are growing, they're covered with what's called velvet. It's a skin. It's got this really short hair on it. Feels like velvet. And after a while, that velvet starts to come off, and the deer will rub his horns up against trees to rub that rest of that velvet off and to shine those horns up. Because those horns are, the does are looking for the horns, okay? Nice, shiny, big horns. That's my buck, okay? And so when they'll do that, they will rub trees, and you can look at trees and say, here's a deer rub right here, okay? They've been rubbing right here. Sometimes they'll scrape the leaves away to open up a bare patch of dirt, and they'll eat it because there's minerals down in there that they need. A lot of times guys will put a salt block or a mineral block of some kind out close to their stand. That's nothing illegal about that. It's not baiting them. It's just you're trying to get an advantage here to get them to come by where you are. But that's what you do. You look for signs. You look for footprints. You look for rubs. You look for scrapes in the ground. Okay? And most hunters know this. So I want you to think of this concept. We see from the Bible. We know from the Bible that the devils that we fight against are beasts. They have a beast nature about them. They are spirits, and there is an intelligence among them. But as far as what they are beasts. And the reason why we go deer hunting about the second weekend of November, and we've got a weekend, we've got that whole next week, and then that following weekend to do our rifle hunting. Bow hunting, I think, has already started. But that's called rifle season. The reason why rifle season is when it is because the deer will be moving at that time. How do we know this? Observation. And deer they go in cycles, just like everything else does. You have a doe that will go in estrus. She will be ready to mate during March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. She's not. But when November comes around and that cool weather hits, their bodies get ready and they release this scent. And some guys wear it. I don't wear doe scent on me. I don't like it. But some guys will cover themselves with doe estrus in order to attract a buck. And the bucks at that time will be in rut, meaning they also are ready. And you see a doe. Most guys, I kill the first thing comes by, okay? But most guys, they'll see a doe come out. She'll be kind of in a trot. The seasoned hunter will say there'll be a buck right on her tail, literally. And he knows that if he waits a few minutes, Mr. Buck will come by. See, these are all things that we learn, all things we figure out, okay? Matthew killed a monster buck a few years ago, 14-point buck, and it did exactly that. Doe comes out in the open field. The first buck came out, Matthew shot at it, and it ran off. The second buck come out, I don't remember if he was ready to shoot or not, but the smart buck, the big one, he was waiting for the other two bucks to clear the area to see if there was anything out there that he didn't want to be a part of. And apparently Matthew's inability to shoot at the second buck was welcome enough for him. And just as he stepped out into the field, Matthew dropped him right there. It was a tremendous shot. Here's what I'm saying. Animals, when they are present, they leave signs. And anybody who is trained in reading these signs can tell you, yes, there's been an animal here, there's been a bobcat here, there's been a bear here. You go out some days and your car looks like birds have been taking target practice on your vehicle. And there's just droppings all over your windshield, okay? You could say now, I wonder if there's been birds around here. I think I see bird sign. Animals leave their mark. They leave signs of where they are because their behavior can be understood. We know that beasts have a certain nature. The devil is a dragon. He is a serpent. God did not make him with the mind of a man. Made him with the mind of a beast. And that's how he thinks. He's intelligent. But he's a beast nonetheless. And wherever Lucifer is present, he will leave signs that he's been there. Some people want to use things like that to try to predict where the devil's going to strike next. You ask any hunter, it's just like pulling a slot machine. But you can tell where they have been because they leave their mark. They'll leave a scrape. In the case of spirits, all you have to do is like this here. You look at where this guy's been spending his time. what he's interested in, what he's been looking at on the internet, what religious philosophy he's been part of. And you understand that there's been a beast here. They left their signature. They left their mark on this shooting. And so it's someone who knows the Word of God, someone who knows a little bit about it, can look at this and say, that's a devil right there. I guarantee you that's a devil. This man had a devil. Not only does he kill these people, I don't know if I heard whether he took his own life or the cops, when they finally got there, shot him up. I don't remember. This is what captured my attention, was the fact that this guy had devils all over him, and they left their mark. They left their sign. All right? So now, that's one of the stories that I've had in my mind all week. Here's the other one. Hurricane Joaquin, which is a derivation of a Bible name. Eliakim means Jehovah has lifted them up, or something like that. But here is Hurricane Joaquin. And the big news of it is, of course, the flooding, but a cargo ship, El Ferro, which means it is Spanish for the Pharaoh. That was a joke. No, Ferro means lighthouse, I think is what it means. Cargo ship, 33 people on board, sunk. And I just got done a few weeks ago dealing with this concept, the Watchman video broadcast. I've talked about this number before. A lot of times you can go to Google or Yahoo or whatever your favorite search engine is. You can type in 33 dead or 33 missing or anything like that, and you're going to get stories everywhere. If I remember right, when I was looking at this shooting in Oregon at this college, somebody had reported that there was an estimated 3,300 students here. And I'm just going, really? Really? There's that many there? 3,300? You have to put that number in that article. Signs. Okay? Signs. They left a mark there. They're showing you, we've been here. This is our nature. This is what we do. What is it with this number 33? As time goes on, I understand more about it. I want to understand more about it. I want to have that zinger of a knowledge. I know what this number is, and a lot of it, there's something that just is, it escapes me. But there are some things that I understand, some things I get with this number 33. Now, am I saying that the Illuminati, the Obama government, using scalar waves and HARP, generated this hurricane, and they directed this hurricane's path, and they sent a command through their Illuminati network to put 33 men on this ship and send it from, where was it going, Florida to Puerto Rico. Do I believe that? That don't even make sense. I do believe, however, that a spirit has been here. That's what I believe. I believe that there are spirits who are more responsible for the goings-on of this world, more so than an elite group of cigar-smoking men at the Bohemian Grove. It's, and I just talked about the. You haven't seen that yet. There's been some sickness go through my girls' babies, and just as Lindsay was getting ready to start work on the Watchman broadcast, which should have been out this week, her little boy Uriah, my grandson, came down sick, and then Journey, her daughter, came down with it, and they, even to this day, they sound terrible. So that kind of
I told everybody you're just going to have to wait on it, and it's be worth waiting on because I talk about the Bohemian Grove. But let me just say this. I don't think for a minute that the power of the Bohemian Grove is the men who get there and discuss how they're going to shape the planet and steal everybody's money and do this and do that as these power brokers go at the Bohemian Grove. I don't think it's the men who have the power. I think it's the spirits that are there that have the power. These men are going to these places and these spirits are working in them. Ephesians 2 tells you in no uncertain terms that the prince of the power of the air is the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. And all you have to have is lost people. People who do not have the indwelling spirit of the living God in them, the spirit of God's Son, Jesus Christ, which causes us to cry, Abba, Father. They do not have that in them. They have another spirit in them. And though that spirit controls them and moves them and tells them what to do and illuminates them and gives them inspiration, as it were. Evil communications corrupt their good manners. A ship with 33 people on it going down into the deep. Think about it. Think about the symbolism. Think about the symbolism of the sea. Where was John standing when he saw the beast rising up? Where was he rising up out of? A bowl of pudding? No. The sea. So I think a spirit has been here. They think they found some debris. They saw a lifeboat, didn't have anybody in it, and so on. But 33 crew members on board this ship sunk into the sea. What does that mean? There's a spirit here, and it operates in this fashion. Look at this. Here's evidence. Here is a connection now, something that we can understand. I want you to get this, all right? When it comes to symbols, if you have the key, you can unlock the symbols. What's the key? The key is the King James Bible. That's the key. And when I started looking for these secrets and what they meant, when I started looking for them in the right place, which is the Word of God, that's when I started finding out what they meant, what the secrets was. But as long as I was reading Manly Hall and Albert Pike, and so as long as I was reading them, I wasn't going to get what really the secret was, because they were going to hint at it. It was going to be subtle. It was going to be concealed, but it wasn't going to be revealed. And they speak through symbols. You can look at symbols like this. Take your Bible. Let me show you something. Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28. While you're turning there, think of the Tower of Babel and what happened there. These guys were building a world order, a city, which is a kingdom, and a tower. Christ is a tower, so they were building a tower, so it was a man-made tower, so that was Antichrist. That heaven and earth being connected together by way of this tower. That's what they were doing. And God said, we're not going to do this now. And he confused their language. So the guys who were still intent on building, they figured since they wouldn't be able to talk to one another, let's write symbols. Let's have a language that only we understand. And it doesn't matter what language you speak, what part of the world you're from. If you're part of a secret group, a secret society, then you speak a language that nobody else knows. It's the language of symbolism. That was foretold to us in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Let's see here. Where am I? Here we go. Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. This is what God said would happen when they didn't obey his law, all his laws, Hebrew roots people. If you're not keeping all of them, you're not keeping any of them. Quit bragging. Amen. Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. There's 4 things here, by the way. You count these things, okay? He's going to serve your enemies in hunger and thirst and nakedness and in want of all things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. By the way, let me just kind of help you with something. Take a look at this symbol now, okay? If you were to take a guess of the 4 groups, principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, or spiritual wickedness in high places, what group would you say this symbol belonged in? Okay? I'll just give you a few seconds. Take a look at this. See this right here? What is that? Is that a bowl of spaghetti? No. That's a crown. Principalities. See it now? You're going, okay, it's a crown. There you go. Okay? Now watch this. And hunger and thirst, nakedness, and want of all things. So it tells you right there. God's telling you something with this pattern. 4th kingdom. All right? False gospel. Think of that. And he shall put a yoke of what? Look at that. Iron. What kingdom is that? Number 4. Yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Look at verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee. The word nation, I don't care if it's in Hebrew, Greek, or English, the word nation is genetics, a genotype, a bloodline, a type, a seed, as it were. A nation whose watch this now. Oh, look at it. Nation, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the what? Okay, I see it now. That's an eagle. Very good. That's an eagle. As swift as the eagle flieth, right? A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Look at that. I mean, there's a triangle and a 33 and a cross and a crown and an eagle with 2 heads and all these stars and a sword and ordo ab chao and what in the world? I don't get it. That's the language that they speak that you don't understand. Okay? Does it make sense now? So let's understand it. Let's break it down. Let's look at it. Number 1, we saw the crown. What is it that wears a crown? A pauper? No, a king. This is a king. This is something that has authority. All right? This is something, a kingdom is ruled by a king. So this is something that is going to bear rule over people. Number 2, we saw the eagle. As swift as the eagle flieth. All right? And I don't know who exactly designed this. This is from the front of Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma. There are different variations of it all over the world. I don't know who designed it, but I think it is spiritual in nature. I think spirits designed this. They inspired it. Here's an eagle. It's a nation as swift as the eagle flieth. What else here? We have the triangle. What does a triangle represent? Well, a triangle has, what number is associated with a triangle? Is it 17? Is it 48 and a half? No, it's 3. Think of things that are 3 in the Bible. Okay, you can say Father, Son, Holy Ghost. That would be right, but we don't think that this represents the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, do we? No, we think that this probably represents something like Lucifer, beast, false prophet, maybe. Okay, that's good. Osiris, Isis, Horus. Yeah, that's pretty good. How about lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life? How about that one? Look at that. Now, put all that together. A triangle, let's say it represents the power of three: lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life, and a crown. Sin reigning in mortal bodies. Pretty good. Okay, you're getting pretty good at this. All right. Let's see. What about the little iron cross there? The what kind of cross? The iron cross. What is it that looks like a cross? Well, number one, a cross does. Okay. Number two, chromosomes. That's what they look like. We didn't know that until several years ago, but that's what they look like. All right. So we're getting it. We're starting to understand this. We have the triangle, the cross, the crown, the eagle. We still haven't looked at the two heads yet, but we're going to. So we have the number 33 here. What does that mean? Hang on a second. I think I can show you this. Hang on. Be right back. I don't see it. Oh, where is it? I had a hat. I don't see it anywhere in here. A Shriner's hat. I had a Shriner's hat. A guy, somebody sent to me. I don't remember who it was. And it had 33 stars on it. And I'm going, because I counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 33 stars on it. See this number here, 33. And see these stars here. If you count them, there's 33 of them on here. Okay? What does that mean? What does that represent? 33 and then the stars. Let's go to second Revelation. Let's go to Revelation 12. Okay? Revelation chapter 12. What are these stars? What do stars represent? Hollywood? Angels. Stars represent angels. Revelation chapter 12. Look at verse 3. There appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. And look at this. And his tail drew how much? 1/3 part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. There's a third is 33%. Exact. Well, and it's not exact because it's a repeating decimal. It's 33.333333. And where does it end? It doesn't. It's infinite. Isn't that interesting that you have 1/3 of the angels, and out of 100%, I don't know how in the world you could get 1/3, because you're going to have something left over. And this is what's interesting to me, is that 1/3 or 33% of which is 1/3, 33.333, and it goes on how far? Infinitely. Innumerably. The Bible talks about an innumerable company of angels. It blows your mind, because if 33.3333333 angels fall from heaven, how many is that left? 66.666666. Innumerable, infinite. Isn't that cool? It just keeps going and going and going. I love this stuff. Now watch this, okay? 33 stars here. You're starting to get it now. You're putting scriptures with scripture. You're unlocking the secrets here. They don't want you to unlock. A nation as swift as the eagle flieth. Who is this nation? It's these guys here. It's the 33 fallen stars. It's 1/3 of the angels that were cast out. By the way, a guy wrote me an email. Pastor, he said, I'm sure you know this, but I think I know what the tail of the dragon is. And he said, and he gave a verse. I can't remember where it was, but it said the false prophets, or the prophets that prophesy lies or something like that, even they shall be the tail. And I went, whoa, that's it. That's it. Listen to me. Listen, think about this. All of these false prophets, and I just did I did 2 interviews with Dr. Bob Glaze of Southwest Radio yesterday. They're going to be featuring the videos Fire from Heaven. And we were talking about this. We were talking about all these false prophets that are out there going, we're going to bring fire down from heaven. We're going to bring the fire down. Come on, fire, fall on us. We want to bring heaven come crashing down to earth. All of these false prophets are the tail that's going to sweep these angels, a third of them, 33.33333. They're going to come swooping them down to the earth. It's the false prophets that are going to bring them down. And I'm just going, I like it. I like it. You know what that is? That's somebody that believes the Bible, that's reading it, and they just think, I think the Bible interprets the Bible. I think the tail of the dragon is the false prophets who are bringing these angels down to the earth. I love it. So we know what nation this is. This number, what does it mean? What does it represent? Ordo ab Chao. Ordo, of course, means order. Ab is the muscles that I have in my stomach. That was a joke. How you like my abs? I haven't seen my abs since 1983, I don't think. Anyway, ordo, ab, means from. Chao, chaos. What does it mean? I looked it up one day. Chaos. It's a Greek word. It means the pit. Think about it. Ordo, order, is going to come from the pit. Wow. See the sword here? That's the words of the strange woman, her mouth. It's a two-edged sword, okay? Deus me que just, I don't know what, I forgot what that means, so I can't talk about it right now, okay? But anyway, let's look at this 33. So we know that this is a king. Look at Revelation 9, okay? Revelation 9 in verse 11. They had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless chaos, okay? The pit. They had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon, all right? Abaddon and Apollyon. Hebrew tongue, 22 letters. Greek tongue, 24 letters. Add them up. 46 letters. He's the destroyer. And he's in the Chao, he's in the pit. And they're going to let him out of the pit. He's the king. That's what this symbol is. That's what this represents. This is reason 918 why Freemasonry is incompatible with Bible Christianity. It may be compatible with other breeds of Christianity, but it is incompatible with Bible Christianity. Because once you use the Bible to unlock this symbol, you're going, no, I don't want any part of that. No, that's the beast. I'm not going to do that. Okay? Let's move on here. How about this? You know what this is? It's a naked guy with his skin pulled off. Okay? This is Kundalini. I used to think that was a spaghetti dish. Kundalini. This says that you have, these are the 7 chakras, the 7 energy circles, energy points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Think of these as how many heads the beast has. Okay? Think about it. These 7 chakras are like these energy swirls, these little whirlpools of energy. In the ancient mystery religions, they had this concept of hell had 7 gates. And you had to, if you wanted to leave hell, you had to go through the 7 gates, the 7 portals, the 7 planetary divine beings. Saturn being the 7th one of those, the sun, moon, and then the 5 other planets. They didn't have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They didn't know they were there. So you had the 7 planetary objects, but think of them as like 7 abominations. All right, 7 abominations. The Antichrist spirit be the opposite of the 7 spirits of God. And they say that once whatever is down here in your bum, once it ascends up through the 7 portals, you receive illumination. Think of the 7 candles in the menorah. All right, that's the opposite of it. But here's the thing. They teach you that down here in your bum, your backside, gluteus maximus, you got a beast. You got a serpent down in there. He's down the tail, right? He's down in the pit. And it's hot down there. He wants out. So you start going to church where they are teaching you yoga, or they are teaching you contemplative prayer, or you're a shooter murderer who does meditation and you're into witchcraft and occult and magic. And you're the beast down here wants up here, from the tail to the head. Study that in the Bible. You'll find some. I'm running through verses. I've read verses where it talks about thou shalt be the tail and not the head. Okay? I think it might be in Deuteronomy 28. I don't remember. But anyway, the beast then wants to rise up. So you do contemplative prayer. You do yoga. You do drugs. Okay? There's different ways of releasing now. Unlocking. Opening the door. The portal. Going through the portal. You'll hear talk like this in New Age. You'll hear it in churches. You'll hear Patricia King talk about them. You'll hear you'll hear Todd Bentley. You'll hear Joyce and Joel and all these people talking about releasing these things and unlocking these things. That you got doors and gates that need to be opened up. That's what that is. It's that coiled up snake beast down in your backside that wants to rise up your spine, which has 33 bones in it. Now you think about this. Remember what we learned when we were talking about the body and the backbone? You have 33 vertebrae, and at each vertebra, you have, I know this because I've had surgery twice now, you've got a bundle of nerves that come out of the left and a bundle of nerves that come out of the right. And those bundles of nerves, either left or the right, they deal with the right arm, the right side of the body, the right leg, the right lung, or just anything that's on the right. Here I am saying right, and I'm pointing to my left side of the body and the right side of the body. And all that information comes from the brain. The brain is telling my hand to do this. It's telling my other hand to do this. Okay? That's because the information went from the head down the spinal cord out to one of those bundles of nerves. So if you do the math, you have 33 places where those bundle of nerves are. That means you have 66 total coming out of there. That's pretty cool. So the 66 is where the information comes from the head. Are you catching this? That's pretty good, right? Okay. That coiled up beast down there wants to rise up the 33 bones and activate your pineal gland. And when your pineal gland is activated, you get real sleepy and you go to sleep. But they call it awakening. But when the pineal gland is not activated, you wake up. But they call that sleep. I don't know. That's just what they call it. But anyway, by the way, I missed something. I forgot something. I forgot the two heads. You know what that is? Number one, a double-minded man. Wow. He's unstable in all his ways, isn't he? Number two, they're pointing in opposite directions. So think of left, right. Think of, and by the way, when you go stand before God, Jesus is either going to put you on the right or on the left. He's not going to put some of you in the middle. Because, well, you've been kind of bad, but you gave a lot of money last year. So I'll just, I can't quite put you on the right, but I'll let you stand in the middle. There is no middle. It's either or. Not with this beast. Left and right. Hot and cold. The middle would be lukewarm, wouldn't it? Night and day. Evil and good. Female and male. Yang and yin. Here we go. Clay, iron. They're opposites. Fused together, along with these stars and the order that comes out of the KO and the king, okay? And that 33, the number of spines, number of bones, vertebrae in your back. Here's another one. This is the illustration that Jim Staley used here to say that this guy in the middle is Jesus. In the Kabbalah tree of life, you have the 10 circles, which they say are the 10 divine beings. We know what they are. Those are the 10 horns, the 10 kings, divine kings, all right? Think of the 10 toes, the iron kingdom. That's what they represent. And I want you to notice, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They want you to think that there's 10 here, but there's actually more than 10. There's a third one here that's hidden, or excuse me, an 11th one. It's hidden. It's not numbered, is it? Same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But there's another one here, the 11th. Think of Genesis or Revelation 9:11, the king of the bottomless pit. This is the one that's secreted. It's occulted. It's hidden. You're not supposed to know about it. But the idea is that here you have the 10 kings, and see these lines here? There's 22 of these. Think about it. 22 lines, 22 pathways that the 10 divine circles are joined with. Are you catching this? These represent, number one, Hebrew Aleph Beth, the Hebrew alphabet. Number two, they represent the amino acid letters that your DNA spells out to make a book. So what does this mean? The 10 divine beings, the 10 toes, mingled with the 22 paths. What do you have? 32, right? But you also have the hidden one. Now you have 33. Whoa, that's cool. See how it makes it? See how it's separated out? You have 32 with the 10 kings and the 22. I mean, that 22 of these 22 pathways would represent humanity. These circles represent the 10 kings, the iron kingdom of Daniel chapter 2. They are joined together, and when they are joined together, now you have the man in the middle, represented by this hidden circle. Hang on to that, because we're going to see it in a minute. Remember the worshipful master in the house of the Temple Lodge in Washington, D.C. He sits on a throne. It's exactly 33 feet tall. What does he represent? He represents this. He represents this. He represents this. and this. That's why it's 33 feet tall. Exactly. Okay, this is not just some random thing. What do you got there? I got some boards that are about 33 feet long. Yeah, throw them over here. We'll make us a little chair for the guy to sit in. No, that's not how they did it. Measured it out exactly. The worshipful master. Guess who that would be? Okay, remember JFK, Dallas, Texas, the 11th month, 22nd day. 11/22 is 33. Dallas, Texas, between the 32nd and 33rd parallel. Let's see here. The Trinity site. Alamogordo, New Mexico. Okay? 33rd parallel. Blow up a big bomb there. Nagasaki, between the 32nd and 33rd parallel. Now watch this. Il Papa here. That is Pope John Paul I, the smiling Pope. Killed 33 days. Now think about these guys on this ship. 33. Killed. This Pope killed 33 days after he becomes Pope. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, but it does take someone who knows what the Bible says and can use the Bible to unlock these symbols. By the way, he's doing this. Even he is using a symbol that I'm not sure that he really knows what it is. This is 3 fingers pointing up and 2 pointing down. Above and below on the same hand. That's like the double-headed eagle and the square and compass and the yin and yang. That's what that is. David Koresh. Do the math here. August 17th, 1959, April 19th, 1993. He hadn't reached his 34th birthday yet. He was 33 and a half years old. Look at Time magazine. Him looking up with all these flames around him. See the imagery here? Timothy McVeigh. Alfred P. Murrah was a Freemason. They named the building after him, and they built it with 33 columns, 11 in each row, 3 rows of 11 columns apiece. And here's Timothy McVeigh. So McVeigh is, some say he's the scapegoat, I don't know. But here all these people are killed in this 33 building. And then Timothy McVeigh was supposed to be executed, and they put a stay of his execution. They said, well, we have more records to look at. We have to make sure that this case is clear. And he's 32 at the time. Well, then he turns 33, and then they say, okay, we can kill him now. And they did. And they put him on a table that looks like a cross, and they killed him. 33. Did I do that? I didn't mean to do that. These buildings, 33 years old, from 68 to 2001. Muhammad Atta, okay, 33 years old. That's how old he was. Flies into the 33-year-old buildings. Isn't that a coincidence? Okay? Virginia Tech massacre. 33 killed. Now, keep in mind now, we're talking about a signature. We're talking about how to spot where the beasts have been. And I think that they leave their mark. I think they leave a sign, like deers and bears and snakes and stuff like that. They leave a sign that they have been here. So this devil-possessed guy goes into Virginia Tech, probably a gun-free zone. So what, in essence, he did was he broke the law by bringing guns onto that campus. Broke the law. When he killed himself, that made 33 victims, 33 dead on that one day. They left a mark there. They're going to make they have made the movie about the 33 miners. They've made the movie. It's supposed to come out. I would like to see it. Because the whole world was watching. You had, I want you to understand, remember, Ordo ab Chaos. Chaos means the pit. Where were these 33 men? They were down in the pit. Trapped there. Locked there. They needed to come out of the pit and be released. So what did they do? They designed a capsule. They drilled a hole, designed a capsule to slide down in there, pick them up one at a time, and we were watching. The whole world was watching as one miner after another comes out of the pit. 33 all together. They named this thing the Phoenix. Why? Because the Phoenix is a representation of the beast. He goes down in the flames like David Koresh, like people in the Alpha Murrah building, or people in the two towers. They go down in the flames. Muhammad Atta goes down in the flames, or 33 mariners on a ship going down into the deep. The Phoenix goes down into the flames and then is resurrected and rises back up out of the ashes of that. That's why they called that the Phoenix. They did it on purpose because of the symbolism of what a Phoenix is. 33 miners. And again, one guy in the Illuminati board didn't call somebody else in the Illuminati subgroups and say, hey, is there any way we can get 33 guys down in a mine shaft and like blow it up and trap them down there and then pull them out? Is there any way can we make that work? Yeah, because man, that'll like advance our cause really, really good. So why don't we try that? That never happened. A beast left his mark there, showing you he's there. What else? Here we go. And this is what I told you to do. Just go to Google or whatever, type in 33 dead, 33 killed, 33 missing, whatever. Okay, 33 dead, 130 injured in China knife-wielding spree. At least 33 dead in Afghanistan suicide. Landslides leave at least 33. But actually there was 34 or 35 or 36. But we were going to say at least 33. Why? Why do you have to say it that way? 33 dead after... Look at this one. 33 dead after Philippines ferry capsizes. Look at this. And there was 173 people on board this thing, but 33 people died. How'd that work? What happened? A ship. And it sinks. Now 33 people dead in the sea. Whew. Just like what's going on right now, people. Bon Scott, 33 years old. Tommy Boy, okay, Chris Farley, 33 years old. A whole string of people, 33 years old. Charleston, South Carolina, right between 32nd parallel, 33rd parallel. People are dead. They left their mark there. Morgan Freeman's granddaughter, she was 33 years old. And the guy it was her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or something like that. Did we freeze again? Seriously? Oh, praise the Lord. What are we going to do? Wait a minute. I think I got it. All right. Hopefully we're still alive and well. Back to this. Morgan Freeman's granddaughter. She's 33 years old exactly. And her boyfriend killed her. And her boyfriend is like crazy because he thinks that Morgan's granddaughter has devils all in her. And she needs an exorcism, and he's going to exorcise the devils with bullets. And he kills her. 33 years old. I'm telling you, there was a beast here. He left his mark here. He left his signs here. That's how I know that was there. Here's what the Bible talks about. 1 Kings chapter 20. 1 Kings 20, the more I read it, the more I'm awed by it. 1 Kings 20, if you turn there, I don't know how much time I have left because I'm just going to make sure I hear my music. I don't know how much time I have left because we started late trying to get all the things worked out. In 1 Kings chapter 20, you open your Bibles up there, and if you want to do a little homework, read 1 Kings 20, and I'll tell you what to look for, okay? You have Ben-Hadad. Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, and he gathered all his host together. That means his army. And there were 32 kings with him, and horses and chariots. Think of horses and chariots. What do the devils look like in Revelation 9? Horses and chariots. What do angels have the appearance of? Chariots. Ezekiel chapter 1, Psalm, where it says the chariots of God are 10,000, even thousands of angels. All right? So when you see horses and chariots, think of spirits. Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, gathered all his hosts together, and there were 32 kings with him. So how many does that make? 33. Now remember when we were looking at the Sephiroth. Somebody sent me a text message. I just want to make sure that everything's okay out on y'all's end. Okay, praise the Lord. Ariel's telling me that it doesn't freeze on your end. It just freezes on my end. Because I'm looking at the screen and nothing's moving, and I'm just going, really? All right. Thank you, Ariel, for letting me know that. All right. But anyway, remember what we saw with the tree of life, the Kabbalah, the Sephiroth, where you had the 10 kings and the 22 paths, making 32. That is the 10 toes of the image fused together. That's your 32. So we have here a picture in your King James Bible of a king. Remember the double-headed eagle? He wore a crown. We have a king along with the 32. I tell you something I don't have put up here. I just thought of this. Francis the Talking Pope is a Jesuit pope. The symbol, I bet I could put it in here. Hang on one second here. The symbol, do this. Here we go. Let me do this. All right. Jesuit symbol. Watch this. Okay. Let me pull this up here. Let me get a big one. Here we go. I'm going to slide that over here. See that symbol there? Can you see that? Make sure you can see that. See that? Guess how many rays there are coming out here? There's 32 exactly. And then you have the sun in the middle. That's 33 people. Okay? I'm telling you, these symbols, you're going to find them right in your Bible. Okay? You're going to find them. Look at the... we could do another search here. We could look at, let's see here, Japan, rising sun. Okay. Right here, the red and the white stripes, there's 32 of them. Here's your 33rd. Okay. Here's another one. UN symbol. There's 33 sections here altogether with the 33rd in the middle, right at the North Pole, where Insanity Clause is. Okay, that's what you're looking at. The Jesuit symbol, the CIA symbol, the Japan. There's one mystery religion that's been chopped up in little pieces, and every place in the world has a little piece of it. Japan. And their image of the rising sun, it represents their emperor, who they believe is the sun god. And these 32 rays coming out of it, and the sun in the middle is 33. That's the Bible's telling you Ben-Hadad is that one king And he has with him the 32, which would be the 10 kings and humanity, except us. They gathered there, and here's what they're doing. They're fighting a war against, who are they fighting here? I think it's the king of Israel is who they say. They besieged Samaria, so they're besieging Ahab, the king of Israel, all right? And you study 1 Kings chapter 20, because here's what you're going to find. Ben-Hadad is, number one, he's a drunk. You'll see that in there. He goes against the king of Israel, king of the Jews, goes against the king of Israel, and they fight on a hilltop or a mountain. Think about where Jesus died when he was 33 on a hill. He defeated his enemies on a hill. And by the way, Ben-Hadad and his 32 kings got their tail whooped when they were fighting. There's my music. They were fighting on the hill. So they went back, gathered their host together, and they said, well, their God may be a God of the mountain, but I bet we can beat them down in the valley. So Christ met them once on the hill called Calvary. They're going to come back in a valley called Armageddon. And they're going to get whooped again. It's not going to work. Joshua 12. Very quickly, Moses kills 2 giant kings, Og and Sihon, and Joshua killed 31 of them. That would be 33. Why? To get the promised land. You figure it out. Isn't that neat? By the way, you like this song? It's my new song. It's Southern Raised. Okay? Amen. Praise the Lord. We got through it today. God bless you. Pray for us. Watchman video broadcast going to be coming out. What else is going to be coming out here? Pure Bible study. Man, you're going to like this stuff. All right? And Wednesday night service. Hope to see you there. God bless you. We will see you the next time. Bye-bye.